So, we want to show you an exciting new update to our API testing and monitoring product. So, we've got existing tests here. If we look at this test, it's a very simple test that is just making a single API call, as you can see there. We want to extend this and incorporate it into a conditional loop. So you can see in our steps, we have this conditional loop. We click on that. This is our loop. We can now add our calls to this loop. So we're going to take this existing one, just click and drag and drop it inside. So that's now inside the loop. And we're going to also add perhaps another request and also a pause. So let's just add those into our loop. Perhaps we can make the pause 2 seconds. And this second request, we're going to add in here this URL. Now all this URL does is makes a call and gets back a random response code, which we're going to use as part of our while statement. Now what we're going to say in this statement is we want to take the response code that comes back and assign it to a variable. So we're going to go into the variables and say in the source, we want to take the status code and apply it to the variable called status code. Now we already defined this in our test. So every time this test runs, the status code from the response will be assigned to this variable. Now we're just going to remove this assertion. So we're going to call the original API. We're then going to call the second API where we're going to get a random status code and pause. We can now set our while statement. So what we're going to do here is say that we want to check the value of the status code, so the variable, and if it does not equal, you can see here we have all the various options we can set. We're going to say does not equal 200, then we're going to continue. So we're going to loop through and keep on repeating this until this status code returns a 200. So if we click save and run, you see on the left that test is now running. If I click on the view progress, you can see the first time the test ran, this is the initial part of the test. We then called this endpoint that's going to return the random status code, and you see we got back a 500. And if I refresh the test, what we can see is it's saying we got back a 500, it didn't equal 200, so we repeated. So we went back into the while loop. We did it again, and again we got a 500, and again that did not match. Then we did it again and we got a 201. So again we carried on with our while statement. And on the fourth attempt, we actually got a 200. And what you can see there is the condition is met, so that while statement is completed. So at that point, our test completed. So we've now got a conditional while loop in our test that allows us to keep on repeating an action until our condition is met. So as you saw, the conditional loop is very powerful. Now in our example, we showed you how you could use this with your status codes. Now we're not limited by that. As you saw when we defined our while loop, if we go back to our test, when you actually define this loop, it can be any variable. So that could be something you're getting back from the response. Anything that you're using within your test that you can define to a variable, you can then use within this while statement. So for more information, please go to BlazeMeter.com. There's videos and blogs, and you can sign up as part of our free trial. Thank you.